Surviving Singapore just got released sometime last week, and this is already the 4th card game that SGAG has already published. I did a review on one of the first few games, Singaporean Dream, so if you are curious about that game, I've actually left the link to the video in the comment section down below or on the top right hand corner of this video. Hey everyone, this is Mervin here, and today we'll be looking at the game Surviving Singapore. As always, we'll look through at the overview of the game first before I share with you my final thoughts afterwards. So in this game, we take on the roles of various Singaporeans to level up and claim the title of Surviving Singapore. Each player will start off with a random job role, and each of these job roles will come with its own set of character abilities that can be found in the bottom of the card, stated under the job trait. Players can level up in this game by defeating certain obstacles, which can be found under the Destiny pile, which is this deck of cards here with the orange back. So obstacle cards always come with a number in the middle. This is the obstacle power. So in order to defeat this obstacle, players must have a power higher than the obstacle. Players can get more power through their job roles or through attaining more family members, which are these blue colored cards right here. So for instance, since I now have the job role of a tiger mom, I already have a power of 2, and my job trait allows me to double the power of any of my children cards. So my daughter card right now is recognized as 2 power instead of 1. So in total, if I add up, I have a total power of 7, which is enough to defeat this particular obstacle, which only has a power of 5. But of course, sometimes in this game, we might not be able to defeat all of the obstacles on our own. Then what happens next? So what's interesting about this game is that you can actually ask other players to help you defeat the obstacles together. It can be one or it can be a few players, it doesn't matter. And how this works is that if there are players helping you, you can add up the total power of yourself and the players to see if it's higher than the obstacle power. If it is, then you successfully defeated the obstacle. So for instance, let's take a look at another obstacle. So this obstacle right now is the hairdresser messes up obstacle and has a power of 13. So since I only have a power of 7, I won't be able to defeat this obstacle. If another player has 6 or 7 power, I can add up the total power together so that we can defeat this obstacle. So when calling for help, you can actually incentivize players to help you by negotiating a reward with them. And this reward can come in a form from defeating the obstacle or maybe from a card in your hand as well. Note that you can only negotiate a reward with the other players, but only the main player who went on the mission will gain a level. Players who are helping out will not be able to attain that level. And finally, it comes down to this question: what if no one wants to help you out at all? Perhaps your level is too high, or perhaps because you keep on saboing other players in the game. So you can only take one of these two options. The first one would be to drop your level down by 1. The second would be to get rid of all of your family units. So the choice is yours. So there's just one more thing that I'd like to share about this game, and these are the special cards. So in Surviving Singapore, you have your penalties and bonuses cards that can be found in the fortune pile. There are also cards where you can set special rules that can be found in the destiny pile as well. That's it, this is the overview of the game. The first player that reaches level 8 will win this game. Currently the game is about $25, and the box is of similar size as with any other party games out there. The box also has this little window here, so you can pick at the player's tokens. But to be honest, it's still a little bit difficult for me to see, because the tokens are placed flat and not elevated. The tokens are made from acrylic, and I love how they look like little candies to eat, so do take caution when playing the game when children are around. Inside the box, apart from the player's tokens, it also comes with the fortune and destiny cards of different colours. But to be honest, the design of the cards all look really similar, and it was a little confusing for me at first to distinguish the cards apart. All the cards has the artwork on top and then some text below. Yes, they differ in colour, but colour alone does not provide enough context. A good alternative would probably be what they did for Singaporean Dream, where the character cards are designed like our ICs, providing visual cues for the players to identify a character card from an action card. So as with the other games that were released by SGAG, Surviving Singapore is also another spin-off from the original game Munchkin, where you level up and acquire items so they can have a power high enough to defeat certain obstacles. So in this video, I'll be making a few comparisons with Munchkin and Surviving Singapore. What do I think about this? Well, I think that it is very common for games to take inspirations from originally popular games. So for instance, you see this in computer games, where Fortnite actually took the Battle Royale genre from PUBG, which was originally the popular game, and they made it more successful and is one of the top playing games that we see today. This also happened with one of SGAG's original games, Singaporean Dream, where it was actually a spin-off of Monopoly Deal, but it became very successful. But at the end of the day, I feel that spin-off games can also be successful if they choose and tweak the right elements from the original game. So for Surviving Singapore, I feel that the changes that they made based off the original Munchkin game is still okay. So let's first start by taking a look at the rules. So for the original Munchkin game, the rules are actually fairly complex, and there's actually a lot of moving components that the players need to manage, so it's not very beginner friendly. I think there's actually 6 to 7 pages worth of text in the rulebook itself. But for Surviving Singapore, I really appreciate that the rules are actually much more simple, so this is actually very beginner friendly, and newer players to card or board games can actually hop onto the game because the rules are so straightforward. Another component that I like about this game is also the local elements that they actually integrated with the game itself. So another card that I actually played out is actually the Oya Peasom card, whereby players actually need to play this childhood game again to actually gain a level. And there are many more cards in the game that's something like that. And it's because of the cards like this which I think is the main highlight of any of the SGAG games, right? Because they are able to bring all these local context into the game so that it's more relatable for Singaporeans to play. Now we go to the negatives of the game. So the overall theme of Surviving Singapore was a little hard to follow for me. The original Munchkin game was actually designed to be something like an RPG. So you level up, you have classes like wizards and dwarves, you acquire weapons and armors and gain some treasures. So the overall theme fits well because it's more intuitive based on the gameplay itself. But as with Surviving Singapore, it's a little hard to follow because I feel that the cards are a bit arbitrary. The action cards felt more like random Singapore occurrences that happens, and it doesn't really fit into the whole theme. Another point about this game is the duration. So when I was playing this game with 3 of my other friends, the game lasted for about 45 minutes to an hour, which is pretty long considering that this is a party game. And we were always getting stuck at level 6 to 7, so it was a bit frustrating for us. I feel that this is because there was not enough obstacle cards for us to level up organically. To wrap up this video, Surviving Singapore is a very different genre of party games that you will usually play. And SGAG did a very good job in terms of localizing this game and simplifying the rules so that it's very beginner friendly. And this is something that I appreciate SGAG doing. By producing more local games like this, it would build the awareness for more board and card games in Singapore, and also encourage more local board game designers to create and design games something like this. But of course, one message from me to SGAG or any local board game designers is that when you're looking to port over original games, number 1, first see if the game category is relevant enough to be localizing it. And number 2, when looking at the elements of the original games, not only look at what elements needs to be changed, but also look at what elements need to remain as is. But for now, this is the end of my video, so subscribe if you haven't and leave your comments down in the section below. I'll make sure I answer any questions that you have. So to the next video, I'll see you then. Bye!